All right, let's get to our insider's fake trade of the day. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. They're Jiffy Lube. They sponsor the program. He's Joe Brazil. He produces the program. Here we go. You had a Toronto trade yesterday that involved Domantas Sabonis.
Begrudgingly.
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 Right. It was to get Emmanuel quickly, you get a point guard, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going back to Toronto. I don't know if this we got to talk. Toronto in this deal is going to they're getting DeMar DeRozan back.
Okay.
They're bringing him back home.
What do they call him?
Debo.
No, but he has a Canadian, there's a name they call him about his Canadian roots.
Okay. So they're getting DeMar DeRozan back, despite the Drake thing. They're getting Malik Monk, whose name was thrown around in the Pascal Siakam trade a couple of years ago that the Kings decided not to execute.
Mr. I Am Toronto. That's what they call him.
Ah, okay, great.
According to Basketball Reference.
Yeah, no, who doesn't call...
I also call him Mr. I Am Toronto.
Yeah, you've done that all year, for sure. The Spurs 2027 first-round pick and Charlotte's 2026 second-round pick. In return, Sacramento is getting Emmanuel Quickly, Ochai Agbaji, and Jonathan Mobo. And this is where I don't know how Toronto feels about Agbaji. I don't know how they feel about Mobo as long-term assets. But they are big, athletic, just they fit the profile of player that we have been saying, hey, the Kings should bring that guy in.
Yeah.
And so I think if Toronto is willing to, if they still covet Malik Monk and they want that first round pick and they're cool with getting DeMar DeRozan back, I think those are the type of players that you should be trying to pry away from Toronto in this deal.
Okay,
you might need to tack on another. Like I said, I don't know exactly how Toronto feels about those players. But from the Kings' perspective, you feel like that's a lot?
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot. DeRozan, Monk, and a first and a second. No, I know Quickly's a good player, but he's owed a lot of money. There's already talk that they're looking for a home for either him or RJ Barrett.
Right.
Or both, one or the other.
You're getting some money off their books.
They are getting some money. Abaji's on his third team, second team, third team, and look, I like him, but I watched him play in the Final Four in New Orleans. I think he's a good ball player, and he's like it's
his second team.
Okay, he's got a lot of the same game that Keon Ellis has. Right.
Okay.
So, maybe, yeah, man, it's tough. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot to give up. I'm not sure that I'm giving up DeRozan and Monk and a first to get Emmanuel Quickly.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I'll listen to it, but again, I just feel like I feel like this.
Agbaji shot 39.9% from three last year.
No, I really, and he's a great defender.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, he's an absolute great defender. He really is a lot like Keon, but more physical. Where Keon is more smooth getting through screens and stuff. Yeah, I think Agbaji is a full-fledged rotational NBA player, and will be for long. Again, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope type frame, that type of player. I don't know if he's gonna accelerate his game, because when you look at his stats last season in Toronto, the 49.8 from the field and 39.9% from three, they don't match any other year in his career, at all.
Yeah.
So you're kind of looking at okay, how exactly did you get to that point? But I do like him. Again, I watched him play at Kansas and in the Final Four. And he's 25 years old, and you're probably going to have to pay him here real soon, because I believe this is his final year of his rookie scale deal. No, he's got a team option next year of $6.3 million. Well, yeah, that next year is last year, so you'd have to decide if you're gonna look at him as a long-term fixture.
Yeah.
I like the players. I like Emmanuel Quickly. I don't know that he's a frontline starting NBA caliber point guard. I do think he's a very good defender. He's an absolute beast and he's a guy, and he's young. You hand the team over to him and see what happens. Like we talk about fits next to Zach LaVine. If you're going to go into this season and the next season with Zach LaVine as your starting point guard, as your starting shooting guard, you really have to bulk up and add like a big body, strong defender, physical, strong defender at the one.
So that's where I think Emmanuel Quickly certainly helps. I think you're getting better size and depth in the front court with Agbaji and Mobo. You're not losing Domantas Sabonis in this deal.
Very true.
You're keeping Keegan Murray in this deal. It opens the door for Keon Ellis to play consistent minutes, whether that's alongside Zach LaVine. I think you can do some really fun things with Quickly and Keon defensively in the backcourt.
And Agbaji.
And Agbaji. Yeah. So I think there's more versatility. Like it makes a little more sense to me this way.
No, I get that. My counterpoint would be that I think if you are going to trade both DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk, your value might not be as a trade together, but as two separate trades that address major positional needs.
Sure.
And that's where like
you'd rather scrap this build if Toronto just follow me. If Toronto covets Malik Monk and they're like, hey, we really want to go get Malik.
Yeah.
You think it'd be better to do that deal separately and see if you can do the DeRozan and Miami deal where you're getting Duncan Robinson, you're getting Jaime Jaquez. You might be getting that 20th pick.
Yeah.
And then also getting something for Malik Monk.
Yeah. So if you were to like turn around and do like Malik Monk and Jonas Valanciunas and again, throw in your pick that you're talking about, throw in a pick for RJ Barrett or for Emmanuel Quickly, then that makes more sense. Again, I don't think this straight trade-off, although I don't, the money that Quickly makes is a lot. It's 32.5 for the next 4 years. Like it's a like straight up like 32.5 million, 30. And so Monk is way cheaper.
Sure.
But I also like, again, if I were keeping,
go ahead.
I think we did this exercise on the podcast, but I don't know if you and I did this. If I were to give you like
that's the Kings Beat podcast available wherever you get your pods. Go ahead.
There you go. If I were to give you like 3 Sacramento Kings that you get to keep and everybody else is going, who are your 3 Kings?
Oh, wow. I personally, I'm keeping Keegan. I'm keeping Keon. Does money factor in?
Not really, because you're going to have to spend money no matter what.
Yeah, you got 11 roster spots to fill. 10?
Yep.
Ooh. Probably Domas.
That is exactly where I went.
Yeah, just because I think if you can, I thought about Zach LaVine because maybe you can in that instance you have a better foundation to build around him, but I think I'd rather try and build around Domas and Zach LaVine at this point.
Okay, so now you've got those 3. What if I give you one more? What if we're playing Survivor and wow. you get to bring someone to
Isaiah Crawford?
That's nice. Yes.
No, gosh, can I keep Jake LaRavia?
No, he's a free agent.
Yeah, it's probably Monk then.
See, and that's where I get to, and I'm like the 4 players that I would probably start. Because you have a great 6-man, you've got a starting shooting guard, you got a starting small forward or power forward, and you've got a starting center. Now, can I fill in the other pieces? And that's where I think the Kings have done themselves so wrong, because this exercise used to include De'Aaron Fox, and I'm including De'Aaron Fox in my top 3, and then I'm including in my top 4, and then if I get a 5th, it would be Monk as my 5th player. And so that's how I would, and then like, how do you fill those other pieces? And it doesn't feel like it should be that difficult, but it is.
I think when I'm putting these trades together, I think my instinct is to, because the Kings have been lacking the phrase du jour for the last 2 years, size and athleticism.
Yep. Length, athleticism.
Can you get deeper on the wings? Can you do all that? That's where I gravitate. And to me, finding a player to replace Malik Monk if you're trading him for wing depth and for size on the perimeter and for switchable defenders. I think it would be easier to find that player to replace Malik Monk than it would be to find quality 3-and-D wings or bring in players like that, which is why I think when I build out these trades or I'm just messing around on a trade machine, my first thing is like, okay, do they have any wings who might have untapped potential, who may not be part of their rotation, who the Kings will really try and maximize? And that's sort of where I land. I want you to respond, but I want you to do it after we pay some bills. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We'll keep talking about this. Fake trades for the Sacramento Kings as we try and rebuild this roster, retweak this roster, reconstruct, find a new direction for the Sacramento Kings. Pick a path.